What's up, guys? Tim here, Everything Sharp. Another real quick video. Figured I would do a video on the different types of locks on some of these knives. So let's start out with a Spyderco. Has a compression lock, which is like a frame lock, but it's on the reverse side. It comes in behind the tang of the blade instead of in the front, which gives it a lot of strength. Pretty strong, pretty easy to manipulate. An excellent lock. You know, it's kind of like a frame lock, but it's kind of like a reverse frame lock. Leaf spring in behind the tang of the blade of the knife there. I just noticed we got some rust coming up here in the jimping on this crew wire. All right, next one. So we got the Spyderco PM2. Next one, we got the Kizer. I can't remember the name of it. The Mini Grouper. This is the same thing as the Spyderco, except this is a button controlled leaf spring that comes in behind the tang of the blade. The button pushes the leaf out of the way, which lets the blade fall. Really like this style of knife, style of lock. Really strong, easy to manipulate, easy to operate. Alright, so we got the Fox Chillin'. This is a liner lock knife. It has liners in the handles. The liner, once the blade comes up past the point of the liner comes in behind the tang of the knife there and stops it. Gives it a real strong lockup. These are nested liners. Some of them are open liners, but this is a nested liner. This is a liner lock. Fox knife Chillin'. Then we got the Vosteed Anklo, which is a pivot lock. Works on a button, so when the knife comes around, the leaf comes out and traps itself in behind the tang here of the knife. Really strong lockup on this knife. Very fidgety. Multiple means of deployment on this one. So this is a pivot lock. Then we have the button lock, which the button lock is very fidgety as well, but most of them don't have a real good detent because of the lock setup. This is a Citivy Centennial. So what happens here is you have a spring in behind this button and you have a cutout in the blade of the knife down here at the bottom. So when it comes around, that spring forces that button out against the tang of the knife and creates a solid lockup. I would say the button locks are probably some of the weakest locks. I've had multiple ones fail. Brand new knives fail on it. And probably one of my least favorite locks. This is a Citivy Centennial. Alright. Now we got the bar lock. This is the Kizer Drop Bear. These locks are pretty strong locks. What happened here is these little tabs are on a spring. So when this blade comes open and the back of the tang hits past the spring forces the bar up and it locks the blade out. You have a full bar behind the tang of that knife. So this is a really strong lock, really fidgety lock. Very nice locking system. I really like the bar lock. Then we probably have the best out of all of them, which is the Demco Shark Lock. So what happens here, the tang of the knife is flat. When it comes around and gets past the point of the spring and the bar, the spring pushes it up behind. Super strong lockout on this. Probably the strongest of, maybe besides a lock back, maybe stronger. But the Shark Lock, very strong, very durable, and also very fidgety. Just to recap, this is the Shark Lock. The blade travels around the pivot, it comes up in behind the metal bar. The spring pushes it forward, which is behind the tang, preventing it from closing up. The Shark Lock, really strong lock. The bar lock, Same thing, the blade travels around the pivot till it gets past the bar here, and the spring forces the bar up behind the tang of the blade of the knife there. Pretty strong lock. The bar lock. The button lock, once again, when you deploy the blade, it travels around. There's a cutout in the blade to the button, to that spot hits where the button is. The spring pushes out the steel button behind the back of the tang of the knife and creates a lockout. Probably not my favorite lock. I've had Spartan, Palos fail, CJRB, Echo fail, and then we got the Vosteed Anklo pivot lock. So this travels up and around. The blade travels around the pivot to this slotted in the tang, and a liner comes out and locks into that position right there behind it. It's kind of like a liner lock and a button lock mixed. It comes out and locks into that groove, preventing failure or the blade closing up on it. Fox knife shilling. This is a nested liner lock. So when the blade swings around the pivot, the leaf spring comes to the past it. It hits the tang of the blade, preventing it from closing up or failure. Kaiser Mini Grouper acts like a button lock, but it's not a button lock. The blade travels around behind on the pivot to the back side, hits the stop pin. A leaf comes out in behind the back of the blade, preventing it from failure or closure. Great action on that Mini Grouper. And then we got the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So the blade travels around the pivot, comes back, hits the stop pin, which creates a leaf spring, comes over in behind the back of the blade, preventing it from failure or closing up on you. Just different lock types on different knives. A liner lock. A frame lock is like the shilling, which you have a relief cut out in the frame. The frame comes over and does the same thing as the liner. Usually a steel insert here in the frame locks. I didn't get one of those out. But it's just like a liner lock, except the frame has a relief cut here and it's on tension. So when the blade travels around and comes past the point and hits the stop pin, the frame kicks over instead of the liner. Just a real quick lesson for some of the new guys collecting pocket knives. I hope this helps. Stay safe, stay sharp. We're out.